Welcome back into another week of T&J Sports Podcast. Drizzy is here. T Stalls, you're on
Tstalls.
the other side.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yep.
sir.
So we are back at it this week, coming off a disappointing week personally between Kentucky and Louisville. Saw a few things nationally wise from some of our games that we picked. We'll have a recap of the week that was, as well as our picks from last week. I had my first bad pick week, and Tyrone surprised everybody with his college picks this week. I'll keep that a surprise until the end. We go over those. He actually did pretty good for once. Not throwing shade, but it was the truth.
It
It
was a
was the
little
truth. But
crazy.
he on the come up. Little shade.
Little shit. Yeah.
But that's payback for the fantasy loss I took 2 weeks ago that I'm still bitter about. But so yes, everybody, welcome back. First things first, I will go ahead and start with my now 4-1 Kentucky Wildcats, who dropped a road game at Ole Miss, top 14 matchup in Oxford. And I will say that for the most part, it is a game that we lost more than I think Ole Miss won. We left 7 points on the board between blocked field goal, blocked PAT, botched snap PAT, and a safety. So there was 7 points that we should have had up there, as well as another 2-point conversion at the end of the first half that we missed on, chasing points way too early. I like the aggressiveness. Mark Stoops never aggressive, so I like the aggressiveness. But had they just gone and kicked the extra point there, we would have had a 1-point lead in that going into that third quarter. But it is what it is. The kicking game, special teams game, other than the punt return and kickoff return, was the only good thing about special teams this past week. It definitely shot us in the foot, and that's the reason that we lost. Um, very disappointed in the game itself. Watching it just never seemed to get a rolling, and then Will Levis did have 2 turnovers there at the end of the game. Had a QBR of 47.7, which not too good. The return of Chris Rodriguez was good. 72 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Good to get him back. Receivers spreading the ball around. I like what I saw on the offense, but we had 3 fumbles on the day and lost 2 of them. And it is what it is. It's all in all, it's a disappointing loss. Didn't expect them to lose until later in the season if they were to lose at all. So now they got some work to do. Tyrone, what do you got on that game? Because I know we were flipping back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like you said to begin with, the special teams was I text you during the game. I was like, your special teams is helping you and hurting you all at the same time, especially in that first half where you had your kick returner return the ball really, really well. Like I think one of them he got all the way down to the 10-yard line, on Ole Miss's 10-yard line, and then another one he got past the 50. And I was like, you know what? That's actually setting up your offense, and that's how you got your scores in the first half was off of those kickoff returns. But then you're missing extra points. Your kick game just was not there. And I mean, yeah, you can say Will Levis didn't have his Heisman game or didn't play that well, but I mean, he really only had maybe 2 mistakes, and that's the fumbles, and you can't really blame that last fumble on him. That was just bad protection on the O line. I mean that play
Which,
happens.
yeah, and that right tackle had just come into the game,
Yeah.
maybe like a play or two before Jeremy Flax went out with a hamstring injury, which he's actually out multiple weeks
Hmm.
with that hamstring injury. So it wasn't actually just a cramp in that scenario. But back to the kickoff returns. Barry and Brown had 3 kickoff returns for 164 yards. His longest was 85 yards. I mean, we're gonna see multiple kickoff returns returned for a touchdown with him
Hmm.
every season while he's here. I can believe that. There was bright spots, there was low spots. I think the defense played really well.
Yeah.
They went down 14 to nothing in the first quarter, but after that, it was, they gave up 6 points the rest of the game.
Mhm.
You know, and it just offense shot themselves in the foot. Special teams shot themselves in the foot. Nothing seemed to go right.
Yeah.
We can chalk it up as that. Kentucky covered the spread. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah. Bet it
we'll
on the
just
spread,
move
you're
on,
good.
and yeah, we'll move on. Uh, we got South Carolina at home this week.
Mhm.
7:30 Eastern time kickoff. Should take care of business. Let's get back on a roll, and get prepared for Tennessee down the line. So I think that's really all I got from today. I'm disappointed. I was telling you, I was mad. I was kind
Yeah.
of, not in the right headspace after that one.
Everybody
Um,
wants to be
but
undefeated, man. It happens. That's what happens when your team starts 4-0, man. You have expectations for a reason. You're a fan for a reason. To I mean, to accept defeat and just be okay with it is not, not your typical fan response to a loss. So you responded in the right way, exactly how I would respond if Louisville was actually good enough to be 4-0. But I mean, that's a quality team to lose to. That was actually one of the losses I had for UK this year. Them in Georgia, Ole Miss in Georgia, and maybe Tennessee, but now Tennessee doesn't seem like they'll be too hard to defeat, even though it is at Tennessee this year for you all. But I mean that's a loss you can take because you fought hard. You just gotta be thankful Will Levis wasn't, he's not gonna be out. His finger was freaking sideways. So it's luckily it wasn't his throwing hand, and luckily it's not gonna keep him out longer or have a cast on it. So there's a lot of things to look up from here because those games right there build, you know, you down the road against Georgia if this were to happen, or you never know what can happen, man. Georgia almost lost this week to Missouri. This is 2 weeks in a row where they almost, lost it to teams they should have won by 3 touchdowns. So it's a long season ahead of you still, so Kentucky can definitely bounce back and, make a run sometime somewhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think. I mean, we matched them in third down efficiency. Went 7 for 14, 1 for 2 on fourth down. They got us in total yards. We had time of possession 37 minutes to 23 minutes, basically. Um, in penalties, we had 4 penalties, 15 yards. I mean, that's not bad at all. And take that in a game.
Mhm.
Um, I just want to see with Rodriguez back. I want to see that rushing attack get going a little bit more. We've got 108 yards total. I want to see him have himself 100 plus yards like he was last year. So that'll wrap up Kentucky at the moment. We'll bounce back this week. I hope so, but I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think South Carolina will be a good little test for us. We can flip over to your Cardinals.
Yes.
It just wasn't a good morning for us,
No,
for
it
all of
was
our
not.
sports. You lost by one, 34-33.
Mm.
Walk us through that game and whatnot.
It's the same kind of response I'm gonna give like I did last week with, our performance. I'm gonna remain optimistic just because Maddie told me to be optimistic towards my team. So I'm gonna be more optimistic. Even though I don't know how anybody can be optimistic with losing to Boston College. I would say, we stuck to the game plan that I knew we should have with giving the ball to Malik and letting him run. And that's what we did. First possession of the game, we chewed up some clock. It was a 12 play, 70-yard drive that took up 6 minutes, and we got it a touchdown run by Malik Cunningham. That was great. And then, we let Boston College get the ball back in that first quarter, and they went on their own little drive, and they were able to score, making it 7-7. And then you get into the second quarter where it's kind of like a back and forth battle. And I mean, not even before, before the second quarter even started, I had a feeling about this game just by how we were playing offensively and defensively. And not to mention that Tyon Evans went out in the first quarter, I believe, or second quarter with an ankle injury. And you can just tell by his frustration of getting up and, he didn't take his helmet with him. He just immediately walked the sideline. You could tell he was mad, aggravated about something. So, like, well, there goes one of our top rushers other than Malik. So they knew they were going to just have to sit back and make Malik throw the ball. And that's what they did. And again, we should just stuck to the game plan of let Malik run. And they stuck to it for the most part in that second quarter because Malik did get 2 more rushing touchdowns. This man went for 3 rushing touchdowns. It's kind of crazy to say Malik's not, that ideal college quarterback that can lead you to wins when this man's putting up 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half. And he is our whole offense, but there's something else when it comes to, you can have 3 rushing touchdowns, but man, when you can't lead us to a win, and I'm not just talking about this game, this is other games like the rest of this year, like Syracuse games, we needed more out of them. We needed more out of them in the Florida State game. In this game, unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the game. He got a helmet-to-helmet hit, which I'm not going to speculate on what exactly caused him to be out. It could have been the head injury. When he got the helmet-to-helmet, he was out for a play, but then he came back in and he looked fine. But then later on in the third quarter, he was out. So I don't know if it was concussion-wise. I don't know what led to him, being out of the game, but Malik's out. And then we had to put in Doman.
Brock Doman,
who played, I think, 3 games his whole career here at Louisville. And most of it was just, Malik Cunningham's helmet fell off going for a play. All right, get back out. So we had to put him in, and it's a lot to ask for a quarterback where he's never played in a game like that, whether it is against Boston College or whoever. It's a lot to ask of him to come in a hostile environment. Jokingly, because that hostile environment was non-existent at Boston College. If you looked at that stadium, I think there's maybe hundreds of people there. And, still, it was a lot for Brock. He couldn't really make throws. And I kind of put that on Scott. He put him in a bad predicament because he did not get him development. That's the storyline for Scott Satterfield while being at Louisville. He didn't recruit right to set us up for a situation like this where we had a good backup quarterback. He doesn't develop our players the way he's supposed to where our backup quarterback can come in and finish off a Boston College team. And that's what led to us ultimately losing by 1 point to Boston College. Zay Flowers is that guy. I said it during the game. His touchdown catch, which was great defense by Josh Minkins. He made a great play on the ball. It's just Zay Flowers is going to be playing on Sundays. It's plain and simple. The guy went up and made the catch and got let's see how long of a touchdown pass that was. A 69-yard touchdown pass. I mean, he can only play it as well as he did. I really don't see much excitement really in the rest of this year. The next game against Virginia is probably our last chance of winning. Except for James Madison at a couple weeks down the road. But as I said at the beginning of the year, the first 6 games we should go 6-0, and we had opportunity in every single one of these games except for the Syracuse game to win, and we did not take advantage. And Scott just proved that I think the Louisville job's too big for him. It's kind of a little too late for him to say he has recruits coming in next year. This is year 5, my man. You've had plenty of years to get recruits in here, and you didn't do that. And now we're sitting here at 2-3, 0-3 in our conference, and it's looking like 2018 all over again.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Brock Doman went 1 of 8 for 19 yards and a pick. So,
and that first pass that he actually completed was to Marshawn Ford. It was a perfect play to set up him to get his momentum and his confidence up. It was a play action pass, and he rolled out to his right. He had Marshawn Ford just going in the flat, just dumped it off to him, and Marshawn got down the field for 19 yards. And after that, he thought he was Malik Cunningham. I ain't Malik Cunningham. He thought he could pass the ball better, and he just kept doing these long developing plays for him to throw the ball down the field. And I mean, that just wasn't it. That was bad, poor management by the coach, not knowing what to do with your personnel in the game. I get it. You plan all around having, the dynamic Malik Cunningham in, but as a head football coach that gets paid $4 million a year to be prepared for these kind of situations, and for you to go in there and do something like that and kind of not help out your backup quarterback and develop him during the summer and during the year, and to 2, not giving him plays that will actually help him get more confident in this game. I think that's, signed, sealed, and delivered. Scott Satterfield needs to be gone. And it sucks to say, and I feel like we've been saying this all year already, and it's only game 5.
Yeah, well, personally, I don't want him gone. Um,
That's because you
for
want
my
to
own
put us
sake.
out.
Yeah, I mean, it has been nice to return that favor of all those blowouts that Bobby Petrino put on us,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
you. Uh, but yeah, I mean, for your sake, yeah, I mean, I think that the writing is on the wall. I the Mark Stoops at year 5 was, I think Mark Stoops had a weird thing where every single year he was the same or better record than before, up until COVID, because COVID was a weird year,
Yeah,
and whatnot, record wise. But he either matched or bettered his record from the year before
hmm
over and over and over again. But I mean, at year 5, at least there was a direction and a feel good, at where we were at and where we were going.
hmm
But I don't feel that for you all. I mean, it's just not gonna work out in the long run.
yeah.
Um,
And they
but you
asked,
got you got
I was just saying, they asked, who do you see like coming up next, coaching wise? It's kind of hard to look and see who do you want next because this is college for one, so it's kind of hard to know who's that next up and coming. I didn't know who Scott Satterfield was until Louisville started the search 4.5 years ago. And honestly, seems like every coach that goes to Alabama that has done bad, went to Alabama, became a coordinator, and now is a head coach again, they're doing pretty great. I think UK fans know that with the game they had this week. But shoot, just give us analysts from Alabama and I'll feel more confident and more, excited for next year if we get one of them.
Yeah, I mean, you could potentially go pluck someone off of, someone's staff, but in my mind, in my eyes, I'm thinking at this point, you might need someone that's, uh, I'm going to say proven and been a head coach, even if it's at a smaller school,
Yeah,
but that's what Satterfield was.
exactly.
Um, you know, so maybe it's because, I mean, Billy Napier went from Louisiana Lafayette to Florida. They're not top 25 like they got thrown up there after beating Utah, but they look halfway decent in year 1. But he also had SEC talent on the roster. I mean, you can go get Dan Mullen for all I care. He, I mean, he did pretty good at Mississippi State. He wasn't awful at Florida for too many years. So,
Mhm.
um, but
He is an
yeah, so
analyst. He's just a network analyst.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll be just be see if he wants to come back and do it. I mean, you could do a lot worse than a Power Five head coach from SEC that you know most of the time, most of his teams were well off, better off than what you are right now.
Yeah.
So,
It's all
uh,
good, man. We have a chance to bounce, sucks to say it, but we have a chance to bounce back from this Boston College loss with the week, the Virginia week. I mean, it's a good opportunity to try
you're
to get the
favored by 3.
which
You're
is
on the road.
shocking. I think that would change if we hear Malik Cunningham is out, which again, we have no idea what's going on. I've been looking everywhere. I've been listening to all sports radio, and there's no update on Malik. And it's, what's if it was a head injury or what. Maybe they just release it here soon, so we'll know. But that spread will definitely change if Malik's out, obviously, because that is the whole Louisville team. But Scott better be getting prepared because if he comes home with another loss to Virginia and we're at 2-4, 0-4 in the conference, and when he comes home, I believe that next week after we play Pitt. It's homecoming against Pittsburgh. Thankfully, we have a bye week, so he gets at least one more week of preparation. But man, like I said, I don't we don't beat Virginia, I don't think we'll beat James Madison. They just beat Appalachian, and I really could
They
see
beat
Louisville.
A&M. Yeah,
I can really see Louisville going 2-10 again.
I'm just Virginia has not beat any Power Five team. They've beat Richmond
Mhm.
and Old Dominion. Um,
Well, we play down to our competition, man. We play down to our competition, and we actually play under our competition sometimes. And I mean, last year's game was a big head scratcher, a big what the heck just happened that fourth quarter. Our defense just opened the floodgates and said, "Hey, throw the ball wherever you want, Armstrong. We don't care. We'll still win." No, we'll lose by 1 point. And the same exact score it was this weekend. 33-34 was the score of last year's game against Virginia. We're 5-5 in the last 10 matchups with them. So, and we're 1-4 on the road, and we play them at Virginia this year. So, I'm gonna try to be optimistic. I really feel like this can be a bounce back game because it needs.
I'll be optimistic in saying if y'all lose to Virginia, his ass is fired
Oh,
before he gets back.
they said it. Not James. Josh Hurd is definitely sold on. He wants the coaches to finish, and I'm actually sold on now that I'm thinking about it and hearing about it. I'd rather that coach sit in that shit fire that he created for that whole season and just take all the criticism, keep letting it roll on. But I'll make sure I'll tell the players, hey, this isn't on you. Your coach didn't prepare you. He didn't develop you. This is nothing against you. This is on your coach. I'm going to let him just sit here. And if he can pull off a win against somebody, good job. You're still gone. So you beat Clemson, cool. You beat Kentucky, come talk to us. But other than that, you're gone, man. You just gonna have to take these L's and bye.
I don't even think a win against Kentucky could let him keep his job.
No.
You know,
No.
like it would be great sentimental wise,
Mhm.
emotional wise for the fan base.
It would be a good send off.
But
It'll be a good send off for him.
yeah. So I mean, it has been a bad week.
Mhm.
We'll hopefully bounce back. You all play noon on Saturday.
You'll know
Kentucky
early
rolls at
Saturday, man.
7:30.
At
Yeah,
least
I know. I am super stoked. At least down here in Bowling Green, it's going to be 65 degrees. I'm gonna have some wings going. I'm gonna have some tailgate stuff going on, and I'm gonna sit on my patio all day, 65 and sunny, and I'm gonna just watch football straight on through the night.
I
Kentucky
might have
plays
to
at
take a ride
7:30.
home. I might have to come home. Maddie's gone this weekend, so I may have to drive home and come hang out for your cookout, man.
You want to come? You just let me know. You make the drive home. I'll come. I'll come up to Louisville, pick your ass up, and bring you down
Come up to
here.
Chicago. I don't feel like
So
doing a 7-hour drive. So come up to Chicago. I
yeah,
get it.
I will say Carter did say he wanted to go visit you in Chicago.
Come on.
So
I'm sure there's a Cubs
um,
game or White Sox game this week.
nah, it's actually here. Cubs are playing the Reds right now in Cincinnati. Last two games of the season, tonight and tomorrow.
Oh,
Uh, Cubs will be done. White Sox will be done. Reds will definitely be done. So, but let's go round it back to football.
yep.
Um, we'll get to our week 5 recap picks. We
Best
had
thing of the
5.
weekend. The best thing of the weekend,
Yeah,
man.
best thing of the weekend for you there.
Hmm?
We had 5 top 25 matchups that we picked with this week, starting with Alabama, Arkansas. We both picked Bama. Got a little dicey there, in the middle. Bryce Young's out. We don't know what the extent of his injury is. If he's going to play this week against A&M, I don't think it matters much in that game if he plays or not.
If I may
Um,
interject, I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer and keep it going, but isn't it nice to be able to put in a backup quarterback that's a 5-star and he actually lives up to the pressure of the game and actually throws touchdowns? Gosh, it must be nice.
even just having a competent backup that
Gosh, man.
that most of their playing time didn't come from JUCO. Um,
I'm over.
I'm ve-
Louisville, that's in the past. We're on. Let's
yeah.
keep it going.
So we both had the Bama game. Both picked Bama. Both got that game. NC State
Mhm.
Clemson night game. ABC top 10 matchup. We both took the Clemson Tigers.
Mhm.
Um, I think they reasserted themselves a little bit on defense, and they were able to win that game. So we both had Clemson, but that was good for us. Then we got into our opposite picks. Baylor, Oklahoma State. I took Baylor. Didn't work out well for me. You took
Mhm.
Oklahoma State. OSU pulled that off. Kentucky, Ole Miss. Not going to rehash all my old memories. Um, you know, you took Ole Miss,
Yeah.
Kentucky, yeah. And then Wake Forest, Florida State. You had Wake Forest. I took Florida State. I thought Florida State would put up a little bit more. They lost by 10. So I went 2-3 on the week. My first losing record on the year. Um, and you went 5-0. So congrats on your first undefeated college weekend here. Um, it's been a long time coming, but I think we're rounding into form on these picks, and I think it also coincides with the teams are rounding into form, and it might be a little bit easier to make these picks. So all in all, we did all right. Updates on the year. Um, let's see. I am now 20-8,
Mhm.
and you are 18-10 on the year.
I'm
So
catching up to you.
not too bad. Not too bad. Um, So we'll move down. Week 6 upcoming. Something that we talked about on podcast many times in the summer,
Yeah.
especially after all the controversy with comments made by each coach.
Yeah.
Texas A&M versus Alabama, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, CBS game. Um,
I know
I
it.
still think I still think it's going to be a really good game.
Yeah.
But I think Alabama's going to pull it off with or without Bryce Young. A&M just doesn't look like they will be able to handle any team um, in the SEC almost, besides maybe Vanderbilt. So I'm rolling with the Tide. Who you got?
I'm gonna roll with the Tide. Who's home that game? Is that at Alabama?
It's at Alabama.
Yeah, it's at Alabama. So I think the motions are gonna be riding high, but I think Alabama has another element, and that's if Bryce Young's not in, Texas A&M only has a small clips of what to expect from their backup quarterback, in Monroe, right? I think that's his last name, Monroe.
Milrow, Monroe.
Yeah. So that's they only have a small glimpse of what to look at other than that or, his high school tapes. But I think Alabama's going to be well prepared. Their coach will prepare them for this game and they will get the win.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Jalen Milrow is the backup quarterback.
Miller.
Freshman out of Katy, Texas. True freshman, it
Texas
looks like.
A&M coach.
So,
Should know about him.
so yeah, back next game, Ohio State, Michigan State.
Hmm.
Um, I think Ohio State might, at times, has looked like, if not the best all year, maybe one of the most consistent teams all year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll with the Buckeyes over Michigan State. It is a road game, but I think Michigan State's on a 0-3 or 0-4 losing streak for the first time in like 6 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So it'd be a good time for them to bounce back, but I just think the Buckeyes will be too much. Who you rolling with?
I'm sticking with the Buckeyes as well. I think CJ Stroud's going to have a good day.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's going to be too much. Next, so this is a week with a CBS double header. We've got Auburn and Georgia at 3:30.
Mm,
Um,
be a good one.
Georgia has not looked Georgia has not looked great on the year, or at least in the past 2 weeks. Um, Auburn definitely is not the Auburn of old, but I think that they will. I think it'll be a really good game. But I got the Bulldogs pulling it out. What do you think?
Bulldogs, even though they haven't looked great, they still find a way to pull out the win. Stetson Bennett at home. I think he's gonna play great, 2 touchdowns, maybe even three. That Georgia defense is still lights out, and Auburn doesn't have any kind of offense. So
No, Auburn doesn't have much of anything. You could be Auburn with like a perennial power that is trash.
yeah,
You're just Louisville that's trash. Um,
that's true.
so um,
And it can
give you
always
a little bit of bright side. Keep the optimism up. Keep the optimism up.
we do have more. We have a better offense than them, so I'll take that.
Yeah. So, all right. Next game. So, we both took Georgia. So far, we're both picking the same this week. We got
Mm.
the Red River rivalry. Texas at Oklahoma,
Say
or
that
Texas
5
versus
times fast.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Um, Oklahoma, I think you said earlier, is without Dylan Gabriel.
Mm.
Uh, honestly, Brent Venables looks like he does not know anything about being a head coach, and his defense looks awful as well as his offense. I think Quinn Ewers is looking to return for Texas in this game.
Mhm.
Um, with or without him, I'm rolling with the Longhorns over the Sooners. Um, what do you think?
Uh, I think I'm gonna go with the Longhorns. I think the Oklahoma's just going on a downward spiral, and again, I believe it is for sure that Dylan Gabriel's out, this weekend. They haven't confirmed it, but as we know with, concussions and Tua, they're not gonna take this lightly. They don't wanna be that next team that's on the news for playing their quarterback, through a concussion. So I think they'll probably end up sitting him, and it's gonna be too much against Texas. Even if they are, it's a neutral field or whatever, I think Texas is gonna be too much for them to handle.
I agree with you there. And then the next one we've got is BYU Notre Dame.
Mhm.
This one is in Las Vegas.
Mm, wow.
Um, so a little bit neutral site game for Notre Dame there. Um, I'm gonna roll with the Irish, which I don't know. It's a tale of two teams that every time I've picked them, they've gone against me. So I'm really just coin flipping it up there.
Yeah.
BYU's been up and down. Notre Dame hasn't looked great at all. So I just went with Notre Dame. Um, hopefully to hopefully they'll just do something. That's all. I ain't got much into that one. They both don't look that great.
Uh, I'm gonna go with the Fighting Irish just by how they played in their last matchup, which was against North Carolina, who was undefeated. They had one of the best offenses, and coming off that kind of win on the road, I think that will just continue to go. And I think Freeman he's learning how to coach, whereas Venables is not looking like he's knowing how to coach. So I think he's going to keep it going, and the Irish will get this win.
Yeah, there's just too much talent and whatnot going on at Notre Dame that I don't think he'll put it together. And obviously, he wouldn't have got the job if they didn't think that he could, do it. Because
Yeah.
Notre Dame's one of those places that you might not have the pick of the crop, but you can be very selective with who
Hmm.
you take.
You're
Um,
not gonna get a lot of
so
5 stars wanting to go there, so
yeah, so those are our picks for the week. Week 6 college football. Excited to get that one rolling in. Maybe we can get some positive
mhm.
momentum going with our respective universities. Uh,
I think you'll see a lot. I think you'll see a lot this week from the games we just picked from, we'll see if Bama's for real, which I'm sure they are. We'll see if OSU's for real. We'll see if Georgia can, keep it going, and we'll see if Texas can get back on the map. And Notre Dame, I think they'll end up being in a nice bowl game at the end of this year. And then with Louisville and Kentucky, we'll learn a lot in these games. We'll learn if Scott's really ready to fold him up and be done. And if his tenure is really going to be done here with Louisville, I think it already is, but we'll see for sure this weekend. And then with Kentucky, let's see if y'all can bounce back, man. I think you all will, like you said, against South Carolina. It should be a bounce back win.
and it's a night game. I've seen reports I think they're going to rock the chrome helmets this week, which I know probably I always, when I looked good when I played a sport, I always felt you look good, you play good. I'm sure you can second that one.
Yeah.
You know,
Look
you
good,
know,
feel good, play good. Prime time.
yeah,
I said that one.
prime time, 7:30. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think yeah, they will bounce back. I think Will Levis will have his probably best game of the season so far, and I think obviously our new OC, this was his first game with Chris Rodriguez as running back. So
Hmm.
now that he has a actual formidable every down back there, the play calling might look a little different this upcoming week.
Any quick keys to the game, real
So
quick?
keys of the game, win the turnover battle, and I just want to see some fight and fight early. Honestly, I just want them to come out and punch them in the mouth and don't let up, because
Louisville.
that'll restore. Yeah.
As for Louisville, coach better. Tstalls out.
All right, guys. Drizzy's out. Thanks for listening. Check out NFL podcast. Will be up later this week. Also, thanks for listening, guys.
Peace.